I think that this is my favorite franchise, but I probably wouldn't say that it was if you asked me. I'm talking about the entire franchise, so most of the movies will just have short little reviews that won't go very in-depth at all. There's some broad stuff that I could probably say about multiple movies that I'll keep restricted to one just for time's sake, because again, these aren't super in-depth reviews. I'm trying to at least not go over 10 minutes with this video, and I could easily talk for at least 10 minutes about each one of these. I considered not talking about them in order of my least favorite to favorite, but then decided to do that. So here they are, in order of my least favorite to favorite, starting with American Pie Presents The Book of Love. If you've seen the entire franchise, this is clearly the worst. It has the worst Stifler, and it's way too similar to the first American Pie. But it's not completely awful, because here are some pros. It's very well made, maybe the best made of the spin-offs, and the performances aren't awful. That's probably because they had more of a budget, maybe? I don't remember the budgets, but I feel like they might have, because the other spin-offs made so much money. But you just don't care about anything, and it's not very funny. But it's a guilty pleasure because I love the franchise, so I'd happily rewatch it, especially if I felt like rewatching the whole franchise, or all of the spin-offs. American Pie Presents Band Camp is really poorly made, not very well acted, but it has a few good laughs, and it's the most connected to the main franchise of all the spin-offs. Obviously, I don't know why I wrote that in. I'd also gladly rewatch this one. American Pie Presents Beta House. I can't believe that this one is this low on the list, but after rewatching it, it's just not that good. It's a classic with me and my best friend, which makes it more special and tolerable, but man, is it just not that good, especially after the first two spin-offs. It's worse than The Naked Mile in almost every aspect, and yet it's more of a good time because it's got way more crazy shenanigans, but that's also why it sucks more, because it's not as well made and doesn't have as much character development. American Wedding. Another one that I'm shocked is as low as it is, but this is where I definitely start to get to a solid, fresh rating. Beta House barely got fresh, solely because it's a classic with me and my best friend, like I already said. This one, and the next one on this list, can probably be switched around, depending on how I'm feeling, because they're so close, they're neck and neck. This one has got the laughs for sure, but it's so poorly made compared to the ones above it on this list, and it also doesn't really feel like an American Pie movie, which really brings it down overall, especially when being compared to the other ones. This one may be one of the funniest, but it also may be one of my least favorites to watch/rewatch. I'm not sure which I should say. I'm never sure of which I should say. Solely because it doesn't feel like it's a part of the franchise. American Reunion. This one is just a really good one because they come back to the main franchise after 9 years, and it's still almost just as good as before. It still had laughs, it felt like an American Pie movie, and it still had the great characters and cast chemistry. The guys that did this did Harold and Kumar, another hugely favorite franchise of mine. There also may be another movie in this franchise from them that may be set in Vegas, so I'm excited. Obviously. The fact that this reunion didn't suck may actually make it the best, or at least the most impressive one. But the most impressive award may be taken by the next one. American Pie Presents The Naked Mile. This used to be one of my least favorites, and I understand why. With this one, they were actually trying to make a good movie too, like the main franchise, and not just be an excuse for comedy and nudity like the rest of the spin-offs. Kind of. I don't really want to talk them down that badly because they're still guilty pleasures of mine and part of my probably favorite franchise. This is probably my second favorite movie overall because the soundtrack is so good, the cast and characters are great, and I think up to par with the main franchise, and this actually feels like a real movie that could have been good in the theaters. The spin-offs were straight-to-DVD movies. I think I forgot to mention that, or maybe I did, I don't know, who cares. Also, when I say this might be my second favorite, or whatever I said, I'm just referring to, like, I guess my overall enjoyment and, like, just what I'd want to rewatch the most. American Pie. I know, don't get mad that it's not number one, but I'm telling you, it's really not the best. It's very good, very funny, and probably seems the most real, but it's got a lot of inexperienced people involved, where it's either their first time or one of their first times. I really love it, and it's a classic, and it's got a special place as being the start of the whole franchise, but it's really just not as good as American Pie 2. Oh my god, where do I begin? This is just one of my all-time favorite movies of all time! It's so much better made than the first one, due to more of a budget, and it's just really well made in general. It's so much funnier than the first one, with more comedy, including more big gags. I may even think that the plot is more interesting. We get better performances out of our lead characters, their characters are way better, the movie is way better written and directed, it's way better shot, it's just so good. This is easily the most rewatchable of the franchise, even though I do really love rewatching The Naked Mile and just the whole franchise in general. And it's easily the funniest. It's also just one of the funniest movies of all time. The gags are just so good and so inventive, I love them. Well, that's it for me gushing about my favorite franchise. I could talk about any of these movies in their own video, so if you want that, just let me know. And if you want me to talk more about anything else that I've already made a video on, also just let me know. Thanks for watching. Press that like button if you liked the video. Press that subscribe button if you like me. Comment below if you've seen any of these movies, and if so, what'd you think of them? You can even rank them yourself if you really want to. Once again, thanks for listening / kind of watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.